Good afternoon. Firstly, I would like to thank the organizer of the 16th International Conference on Learning and the idea of presenting through YouTube for presenters who can't attend the conference. Let me first introduce myself. My name is Mable Chan. I'm from the English department of the Hong Kong Polytechnic University. Today, the topic of my presentation is what learning contract reveals about students' attitude towards English language learning and the pedagogical implications. I will first briefly review some relevant studies done in the literature and then give some background information about the study before I present the research questions, methodology, and the preliminary findings of the study. In the literature, researchers have been discussing and researching various factors which have impact on second language learning outcome. Among the factors include learning styles, learning strategies, motivation, personality factors like self-esteem, risk-taking, inhibition, etc. There seems to be many factors which affect second language learning outcome, but I think central to all these factors is one word, that is attitude. Learner's attitude. So for example, learning styles is about the attitude of what learning style learners prefer. Motivation is about the attitude of what matters, whether it's the instrumental value of learning English, which is extrinsic motivation, or the interest of learning English, which is intrinsic motivation. So as what is suggested, attitudes to learning and language learning beliefs, which determine them, have a profound influence on learning behavior and consequently learning outcomes. Now let me show you some more research findings regarding the role of different factors in shaping successful language learning experience or outcome. Now please have a look at the findings here about what makes a good language learner. Now according to Rubin and Thompson, 1982, the following are the characteristics of a good language learner. So you can see that they are all about the behavior of good language learners. That is, what good language learners do. But underpinning the behavior is actually their belief and attitude. Now, for example, point number one, good learners find their own way. So this is related to learners' attitude of whether passive learners or active learners benefit language learning. Point number 6. Good learners use mnemonics. So mnemonics is a kind of strategies of remembering vocabulary. So this is about what strategies the learners think the most useful. And point number 12. Good learners learn different styles of speech and writing and learn to vary their language according to the formality of the situation. So this is about what they think should be the focus of learning. So the next slide shows the list suggested by Ellis and Sinclair, 1989. The points here are categorized and they are similar to the points I just mentioned, suggested by Rubin and Thompson. For example, actively involved, this is similar to point number 1 I just mentioned. Being organized, willing to experiment, etc. So again, these are actually the results instead of the cause leading to success in second language learning. While numerous studies have been done in the literature about individual factors affecting second language learning outcome, attitude is in fact the single construct which affects learning motivation, use of strategies, doing or not doing something in second language learning. So before I tell you more about my study, let's review some recent relevant studies concerning the attitude of students and teachers, in particular, their language learning attitude and beliefs, whether there is a gap between students' attitude and teachers' attitude and how the gap can be bridged. Now, the pioneer of research investigating learners' beliefs is Professor Elaine Howes. According to Howes' 1988, foreign language students reported a much higher preference for grammar and vocabulary learning exercises than their teachers. So the implication is that there might be a mismatch in students' and teachers' views about classroom activities. Students might not be willing to participate in communicative activities. This finding still emerges in recent studies about learners' and teachers' belief about language learning. In current 1995, the subjects were 288 students of French as a foreign language and 12 instructors in the States. The beliefs of students and teachers seem to be consistent, but learners were found to be over-optimistic or unrealistic about the length of time it takes to become fluent in a foreign language. This finding is consistent with that obtained in Peacock 1999, which I will introduce soon. In Peacock's study, the subjects were Hong Kong tertiary students. So it was found that Hong Kong tertiary students generally underestimated the time it takes for them to be fluent in English. The implication is that at the end of the period, when they think they can master the language but they fail, they will become frustrated and they will lose confidence, which have a negative impact on learning a language. In Banya and Ching, 1997, the subjects were 224 EFL tertiary students and 23 teachers in South Taiwan. So they are Chinese students. The findings show that students were more optimistic in language learning, and the higher achievers tend to regard English as less difficult. They find grammar and translation the most important in learning English. A comparison was also made in the study between Chinese and US learners of English, and it was reported that the Chinese students use more compensation strategies. They memorize vocabulary and grammar for accuracy and proficiency, and they are too concerned about error correction. They stress the importance of speaking with an excellent accent and are motivated instrumentally. So this is actually very similar to the case in Hong Kong. Students in Hong Kong are also famous for their extrinsic motivation in learning English, and they also focus much on speaking, grammar, and vocabulary. Teachers believe that females are better language learners and that intelligence plays an important role in language learning. Such beliefs about female strength in learning a language and also the important role of intelligence also have impact on how teachers teach. So it is possible that teachers might spend less time on teaching